The weekly Industry Angel podcast hears from business leaders and entrepreneurs who share their stories and that all-important light bulb moment. This can inspire us all and maybe scratch that itch and kickstart that idea that keeps you awake at night. Welcome to episode 41 of the Industry Angel. It's the birthday edition. We are one. The 3rd of February 2016 saw the first ever episode. So I just had a quick look back across the listing in iTunes there. We've had some fantastic guests on the show. Just as we planned, really diverse, trying to be a bit different, all the other podcasts out there. I've shaped the show, from your feedback, so well done. It's your work as well. And I love your feedback. It's greatly received. On that note, I've just noticed in our junk folder that there's a few emails from you guys. So remember, we've also got a Facebook page if you want to drop us a message as well. That's pretty cool actually because the guests sometimes engage on there as well. So any questions, just throw them on the page. Let me know if you want to hear from anyone specific and we'll do our best. If you're pals of them, hook us up by all means. Any particular topic you'd like to get covered, we can do it. So in this episode, we're going to talk content marketing. Today we have Rachel Parker. Rachel is the CEO and Chief Geek of Renaissance Content Marketing. Welcome to the Industry Angel, Rachel.
Thank you, Ian. Pleasure to be here.
So is it resonate? How do you say it?
It's resonance, as in something that resonates. Mm-hmm.
So there you go. I like it. Huh?
Thank you.
And you're the Chief Geek. What's going on there?
I'm the chief geek, and I call myself that kind of jokingly, but really my geekiness is my primary asset because as the founder and owner of a content marketing agency, I have to work with all different industries and learn about all different topics, and I can geek out over absolutely anything. So it works very well in the role that I've stepped into.
You do. You've got to be the master of everything in this role. I'll just make a note there because my scrolly writing, I thought it was Renaissance. So resonance, I like that. I like a nice little touch. Mm-hmm. So you're in Houston, aren't you?
I am, Houston, Texas.
So you're going to be having a bit Super Bowl fever?
Yeah, well, the Super Bowl was yesterday, so but it was great. The city really stepped up, and now everyone who lives here is saying, "Okay, game's over. You can go home now."
Well, do you know that leads us quite nicely into marketing because obviously the TV ads are hot property at the Super Bowl, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. They are, and it's funny that you mentioned it, Ian. I did an article a couple of days ago about how back in maybe 20 years ago, Super Bowl ads were just, you would hear buzz a month before the event about the ads, and that has become less and less, that buzz, every year. And I think it's because advertising it still has a place, but it's no longer the be all and end all that it once was.
Wow, I'm really surprised. This morning, that was one of the first things I looked at, and sorry, the periods, but I was more interested in who paid the big bucks, and was it Coke and Bud, and did I see Airbnb as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So, you're talking mega bucks, though, aren't you, for those?
Yeah, the ad space alone is about $5 million. Between 5 and 5.5 million. That doesn't count, of course, the agency to create it and everything that goes into the ad itself.
So as you say, you haven't had the buzz that's been going on. And why do you think that is then?
I think, Ian, it's because, back in, I don't know if you've ever watched Mad Men while it was on the air, but, back in the Mad Men day, advertising was just the be all and end all. And if you had a fantastic ad and a great time slot, then you were set. You could plan the rest of your quarter or the rest of your year around those revenues. And these days, what I find is that the way consumers view advertising is just so different in that, it takes much more than a really cool, slick ad in a great time slot to turn that advertising into revenues. In other words, people want to know, okay, who are you? Why should I trust you? Why should I even give you my attention to look at this ad? And I explain it to my clients this way: it's advertising that leans in for the kiss, but it's content marketing that does the courting.
Nice little segue. So we're going to we're going to talk about content marketing. So that's brilliant. I'm really glad you're here, and thanks for your time. I'm really interested. So I guess in terms of your clients, do you have to sort of persuade some of them to go the content marketing route? Do they go the more traditional side, or?
Usually, Ian, when they come to me, they're already kind of in that mode and realizing that
Great.
they have to do that content. And the reason that they bring us in is that they know they need to be blogging. They know they need to be active on social media with good content. They know they need to be sending good content via email. They just don't have the internal resources to be able to do it consistently, and to do it to the level of quality that they need.
I totally agree. And you said something there, consistency and quality. You can't, I mean, we're always on, aren't we? You know, it's
Yes.
always connected. So you can't just dip in and out. You just got to either do it or don't do it, in my eyes.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree. I've had clients say, well, we're looking at our budget, so let's just drop out for maybe 3 months, and we'll pick it up in the third quarter. And I say, you can do that, but you're going to be starting all over again.
I'm really surprised at that. You know, that's a real bugbear of mine, and I've said it a few times on this show. You pick a brand, for instance. Actually, this is a true story. About 3 weeks ago, I had some socks. Bit of a bore. I'm going to bore you to tears here. I had some socks, okay?
Okay.
And the socks are the same as my surname. So it's got Farrow written on the bottom of the socks. Now I thought, well, these are pretty cool. It's got my name on. But they're like disintegrated within like the first wear.
Oh no.
So I'm going to tweet them. And just nothing back, because they seem to be all broadcasting, don't they? They're not listening too much. Some of these brands.
Yeah, absolutely. And with customer service, definitely. And it sounds like this brand was more of an e-commerce. And if that's the case, oh my gosh, you cannot just be holding up a megaphone. You've got to be listening. You've got to be treating that as a telephone.
Yeah, definitely. When you look at some of the Facebook pages or the Twitter feeds, if they haven't been on there for months, that's it's just awful. It's a big no-no.
Yeah.
So, as you say, some of your clients, you've got to get them to sort of keep investing. So, I guess you're in the outsourcing game, yeah?
Yeah, we are in the outsourcing game, and clients bring us in to, number one, do their strategy, and then on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, we create their content, we publish it, and then we deliver analytics on the back end.
Brilliant. Oh, you've got some similarity with us, Rachel. So do you do a sort of monthly report on that, or?
Yeah, we do a monthly report, and every month they get a report on how many likes they got, how many comments, how many shares, and then with each section, like there's a section for Facebook and LinkedIn and their blog. With each section, we offer insights on how to use this information going forward. So if there's a certain type of Facebook post that's getting a lot of engagement, we talk about utilizing that approach more and more. Or if certain blog topics got a whole lot of traffic, then we would look at using that going forward, because constant improvement is the name of the game.
I really like that, because, I think sometimes we can get hung up on impressions, but not all impressions are kind of equal in that sense then.
Correct. And we really look at, as much as we're able with the tools that we have, what is the quality behind those impressions rather than just quantity, because you can put out a post that gets hundreds of likes, but is it reaching your audience, and is it representing your brand? I once had a client who was addicted to sharing inspirational quotes on Facebook, and I was
Facebook, right?
yeah, and I was trying to tell them it's nice once in a while, but it doesn't really have to do with your brand. It's just something feel good. And they say, oh no, it gets so many likes every time we put a quote out there. It gets so many likes, and it gets shared, and it's just great for us. And it took a little educating to make them see why that wasn't. Inspirational quotes are not a strategy. In other words.
That's interesting, because that brings us on to platforms, because I was surprised that you said Facebook there. I thought that might be more kind of Instagram post.
Yeah, this was a few years ago, while Instagram was still on the lower levels of popularity. But Instagram would be up there as well. And just in the last couple of years, Instagram has really taken off. And yes, there is the cult of inspirational quotes over on Instagram as well.
So thinking about your clients, I'm guessing this is B2B. So would they be on platforms such as Instagram and Snapchat, or the more LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter?
It's an interesting question, Ian. I always tell my clients, if you are a B2B company, you need to be on LinkedIn. No question about it. That's, if you do nothing else, you need to be active on LinkedIn. And then as far as Facebook goes, one thing that I do recommend is that they take advantage of Facebook Live, because that is get just becoming a huge marketing asset. And LinkedIn, as yet, has no onboard video capability, either live or otherwise. So what I do for myself is I broadcast a little tip every Monday morning, broadcast it via Facebook Live, download the file, upload the file to SlideShare, which is of course owned by LinkedIn, and then share that SlideShare on LinkedIn. So it's a little convoluted, but it gets the job done.
Nicely done. Nice little tip there. I was
Hmm.
just thinking when you were talking about LinkedIn and imagine the functionality of going live. I think LinkedIn would just have a total meltdown, wouldn't it, of users?
I think so. Yes.
I mean, you see them now on LinkedIn and everyone's crying about it being Facebook and things, but live is fantastic, though. I mean,
It
I
is.
love the notifications that they go
Hmm.
on live. How do you do that for clients then, Rachel? Because obviously, if you're outsourced to you, do you say to clients that, one of you guys has to be the front of the business and you've got to just embrace it?
Yeah, interesting question. And of course, I can't be the face of all my clients'
Of
brands.
course.
That wouldn't make any sense. So what we do is I educate them on what Facebook Live does, and why they need to be there and why it's valuable. And then we would work with them on, for example, it's not sitting in front of a camera and just spouting off, but nor is it sitting in front of a camera and reading a script. Neither one is going to succeed for you. So we do some coaching and maybe a little rehearsing on how to create something that's like maybe 5 or 6 talking points, and then just use those as a guideline, just as you would for a speaking engagement. I mean, you wouldn't get up in front of a conference and read a script, or nor would you talk off the cuff. So we do a little coaching to help them do some preparation work, but have it all very, very natural and coming across very human.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, do you see the uptake on this in America? I mean, in the UK, I do see notification, but not as much as pages that we manage for our US clients. So, do you think in America it's really taken off Facebook Live?
It has really taken off, Ian. I see brands using Facebook Live that I never thought I would.
Really?
Down in Houston, we're in the oil and gas in country, in other words, and I'm even seeing people in as traditional an industry as oil and gas start to dabble in Facebook Live. So it's really taken off.
Absolutely love that. I mean, we've got some clients who I'm quite jealous of, actually. And I think I've mentioned this before about clients who've actually got something really tangible, like they actually produce a product,
Hmm.
so you can hold it, show it,
Yeah.
watch it being produced, watch it come off the production line, once it get packed, once it
Hmm.
goes ship. You've got some great content there. Where sort of you and I, who are more in the service sector,
Hmm.
as you say, it's probably you and I in front of a camera talking or giving tips. Yeah, yeah, great. But sometimes you sometimes scratching your head like what today's tip is about or whatever. So
Yep.
your clients who are actually producing components, and you mentioned oil and gas there, so are they actually getting down and dirty with some of the components they make and showing them, behind the scenes of the office or the manufacturing facility?
Yeah, absolutely. They are getting online and they're showing, maybe not the manufacturing facility, but showing off the cool and interesting aspects of the products they produce. And again, I always like to draw a comparison to real life. It's like, okay, well, what would you do at a trade show booth? What would you point out? What would you make sure that people understood? And then taking what we would do there and translating that into video.
I'm just writing that down because I love that. That trade show. It's funny, isn't it? Trade shows. We've got them here in the UK, and I think they're a lot more conservative than in the US. I've got a
Hmm.
client who's going out in, what is it now? This is 6th of Feb. We record this in a couple of weeks' time, and they're dying to get across because people are so more engaging.
Hmm.
So, in terms of your trade shows, do you see people really embracing social during trade shows? Do you see people walking around, going live, and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's now with trade shows, of course, you have to be very careful because some of them have very strict rules about what visuals you can and cannot share from the show. For example, here in Houston, we have a huge trade show in May called the Offshore Technology Conference, and they are very strict about what you can. They say you can share photos and video from your booth, and that's it. So it's not like you can be walking around, talking to people on video and things like that. So I would advise anyone who's interested in that, just make sure you know the rules because we don't want you to get into trouble. But yeah, sharing photos and videos of the booth of what's going on there. Oh my gosh, if you share images of your swag, like your giveaways, if you have something really cool, people will flock to your booth. They'll say, "I saw this great giveaway on Twitter, and I've got to have one," or "Where do I enter to win the drone or whatever it is they're giving away?" That's a really hot topic.
It's funny because I do know that offshore, and it is huge. But I think I've broke that rule before at exhibitions. Then in the UK, just wandering around on live. So
Yeah,
I've never heard that before.
yeah.
I know there have been quite stringent. A client of ours is going over, and the particular trade show, they can't take anything in. They can't take boxes in. Everything's got to be pre-shipped. And when they
Hmm.
get there, they just have to walk in. And it all literally is there, just
Yeah.
on a pallet, just on the stand, waiting for them.
Hmm. Hmm.
Wow, I've never heard of that. Not being able to walk in with a box and things. Is that a security thing or?
I'm hearing of that more and more. I think it's all in the name of customer service and serving their vendors well and wanting them to come back.
Hmm. Oh, that's interesting. We're
Mhm.
digressing into trade shows here.
Yeah.
So, what kind of tips have you got for our listeners, maybe that aren't into content marketing, that they don't really get it? Is it content is king, or we're talking social, or both, or blogging, or
Well, I'm gonna quote Lee Auden here, one of the gurus in my field, and he says, "Content is not king; it's the kingdom." I love
okay?
that
Mm.
because it's not just it's not the flavor of the month. It is the way to build that foundation of trust, so that when you do come on with your marketing message, like that $5 million Super Bowl ad, people say, "Oh yeah, I know those guys. I know Airbnb. I've heard of them. I had friends who recommended them. They have great magazine. They have great content. I know who they are." So if you are not active on content marketing, if you're not doing anything right now, I would say definitely start a blog, start getting in front of people with email, and start using social media. Those are the three big tenets of content marketing. And from there, you can branch off into things like webinars and ebooks and white papers and original research or what have you. So, tip number one is if you are not active in content marketing right now, then the time is now. Get started.
And then, can you call that tip number one, or can you just call that an overall tip? Because I think that's key, isn't
It
it?
is.
That's just got to be a mantra, and I know exactly what people are going to be saying when they hear this. You're in a small business. I don't have time for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So what's the answer?
Well, you can hire me, or you can hire you over in the UK. That's easy.
I set them up. You knock them down. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. But no, Ian, I understand that not every business is in a position to be able to afford either you or me our services. And in that case, what you can do is look out on the freelance community and see if you can find a freelance writer, see if you can find a freelance social marketing person who can manage that for you. That's a more, if your budget is really tight, that's an alternative way to go about it.
I've just been was writing a kind of marketing plan today for a client,
Mhm.
and I was putting all these things in place. And when you go through them, it can be quite deep, can't it? Like sort of LinkedIn article, customer newsletter, prospect
Mhm.
newsletter, blog, your social, any videos, and what did your clients, Rachel? Do you put a bit of a marketing plan together for them and across a week, a month, a year, or?
Yeah, we do put a content marketing plan together, and I prefer to start. I don't start with the full cafeteria. I say, okay, let's start maybe for if we were working right now, maybe for the first half of 2016, or maybe for the rest of 2016. Let's focus on blogging, email, and social media, and then make recommendations for each of those, and then take a step back and look at where we are and look at what's going on with others in our industry and look what our audience is asking about. Are they asking about webinars? Are they asking about ebooks or white papers or that longer form content? Because Ian, what I see happening so often is that a brand will get into content marketing and they will just go in, they will jump in with both feet. They're doing they're doing the big three: blogging, email, and social, but they're also doing webinars, and they're trying to put on their own conferences and this and this and this, and then 6 months later they burn out. They just took on too much at once. So that would be another tip that I would say. I would say start off with what you can do right now, and then as you get comfortable and as you start to build an audience, be willing and able to grow from there.
I think that's an excellent tip, and I have seen that exactly the same thing. And I think when you do try to be all things to all men, and I think the content can drop, the quality of
Hmm.
that content can
Yep.
drop. You might as well do those big three correctly rather than
Hmm.
just playing at six or seven.
Exactly. Exactly.
So in terms of webinars, what sort of industry do you see that suits a webinar nicely? Is it the software world?
Pretty much B2B across the board can succeed with webinars. I've seen software companies do very well. I've seen oil and gas companies do very well in the webinar space. I've seen very specialized technology companies. For example, a colleague of mine works for um, a a technology company that specializes in learning software. So they're doing some great webinars on how to promote learning in your organization and how to build a culture around that learning and innovation. So I would say any B2B business can definitely make a go of it in webinars and do very well.
I like sort of the interactivity of webinars, but like
Mhm.
Blab, have you used that? Yeah,
I have
Blab.
used Blab, yeah.
Yeah, so you've actually you can get some sort of comments coming down the right hand side, a bit like live. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
I think that's great for at a webinar situation.
Yeah, what's great about Blab is you can have a panel of people
Mm.
and have them all, all on camera at the same time. So yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. Do you know what it is? I love to see, well, you can always tell as well when someone's engaged somebody from an agency to help out, when suddenly they dive into super cool platforms like, oh, we're on Blad this week. What? Really? Where did that come from? Out of
You can
nowhere.
you couldn't even spell Blab 2 weeks ago. What are you talking about?
I know. But it's good. It's great to see. I love it
Yeah.
because it's just like they've embraced, they've got
Hmm.
it, they've invested and said, look, we need to do this. Everybody else is doing it. The competition's doing it. We need to be on this. And
Hmm.
what's the tipping point, Rachel, that you see with your clients who are like those guys who couldn't spell blab 2 years ago? What's the tipping point? When do they come to you?
They come to me when they don't have adequate internal resources to do what they need to do, like I said, consistently and up to a level of quality. I actually have clients who have content teams in place and they are doing a great job, but their commitment to content, the company's commitment to content marketing is so strong that it actually has overgrown what these teams are capable of. One of my clients, I work with their content manager, and he's wonderful, but he's like, I'm supporting sales and I'm supporting trade shows, and I just it's just more than we can handle internally. So that's where I'm able to add some value as well.
Yeah. Do you find that people like sales could drop off and then they suddenly start thinking about the marketing side when it's too late?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Some people come in, and it depends. Ian, some people get what content marketing will and can do for them, and some of them say, "Oh, well, sales dropping off. Let's start grasping at straws. Let's start looking at what we can do." Oh, wow, I saw this article about how my blog sent me a $30 million contract. Well, let's try blogging. And sometimes it does involve a bit of education, showing them what content content is designed to do for them. And we're in marketing, and of course, marketing is not sales. That's two very different creatures. So I do try to help them understand.
They do that. I totally agree with you all, but they really have to go hand in glove. Sometimes
Yeah.
I see sales teams and marketing teams so out of alignment,
Mm-hmm.
and the marketing team are just. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, the marketing has to help the sales team get
Yeah.
leads
Mm-hmm.
and convert sales. But some of them are so misaligned, and it's
Yeah.
absolutely crazy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you get when you've got a prospective client, are they always about the ROI? Because it's quite obviously it's hard, isn't it? Do you get that much when people say, "Well, what am I going to get out of this? Am I going to get 2 customers, 3 customers out of this work?"
Right. Right. Oh, ROI. Yes. It does come up. And Ian, I was having coffee with a colleague a couple of weeks ago, and I love his perspective on it. And he says, well, what's the ROI of your phone system? And what's the ROI of those comfy leather chairs in your conference room? What's the ROI of having an admin to answer your phones? And they say, well, I mean, that's just what we need to to be in business. And that's how he starts the conversation around doing content marketing. And so we talk about, yes, we're going to track things like traffic to your blog posts. We're going to track engagement on social media. We're going to track your email opens and click-throughs. And if there is an opportunity, if you have a funnel, a very sophisticated system in place, it is possible, like something like Radiant 6 would actually enable you to track a customer from those early stages all the way to the sale. Radiant 6 also costs about $5,000 a month. So,
Right. Okay.
it's pick your poison, as they say. But so we do need to educate them on what content marketing can do. Yes, it can generate leads. It can fill those people at different levels at the top of the funnel, and then as they go down the funnel, it can feed their need for more information, their need for more detail, and then once you're ready to have that sales conversation, then you can actually have a seamless transition between the marketing side and the sales side, and that's how deals get made. That's how business gets done.
I like that analogy about the chairs and the coffee and things like that because Ted Rubin. I had Ted Rubin on the show,
Yeah,
and Ted calls it like R on R, so return on relationship,
yeah.
and I love that because you just have to do it. You just can't not do these things anymore. It's just forget about the ROI. The ROI sometimes you just got to be doing it.
It's the cost of entry. It's the ante. It's
Yeah,
basic. You
yeah.
just got to do it.
So we've got a couple of tips there. Is there any more? I think we had a couple there. Is there any like sort of didn't you write a book, Rachel? Have you got a book on this?
I do have a book on this. Thank you, Ian. It is called The Content Marketing Coach: Everything You Need to Get in the Game and Win. I know I got so excited talking about content marketing. I forgot. Oh yeah, I wrote a book on this. That's right. Yes. 8 months of my life. Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
Was it really? Oh my word.
Yes, it is called The Content Marketing Coach: Everything You Need to Get in the Game and Win. And, Ian, this book was actually inspired by my own podcast listeners, because I heard from so many people who said, oh, thank you so much for your podcast. I came to
Brilliant.
content marketing from journalism, or I came from traditional advertising, or I'm a recent college grad with a degree in English, and someone hired me and said, oh, you're a writer. Congratulations, you're now a content marketer. And so they needed some help kind of filling that gap between the skill set that they came in with and what they were being required to do in their new positions. And I got enough of those messages that I said, okay, I think this needs to be put into a book. And so that's how the book came about. It is it's kind of a 101, which the newbie content marketer will greatly appreciate it. And the funny thing is, as I showed it to more and more of my colleagues, and as more and more people have read it, they've said, this is a great primer for anyone at any level of marketing to get really firm on the tenets of content marketing and to be able to do it well. So if you would like to learn more about it, feel free to go to contentmarketingcoachbook.com.
Excellent stuff. So is it Kindle, paperback, or both?
It
Or?
is both. It's both. It's a
Ooh,
paperback, and it's also available on Kindle.
check you out.
I
You're all over
know.
this.
I know.
Do you know what's really funny? You said there about somebody becoming a marketer who was previously, I don't know, in journalism. I see that all the time in sales as well.
Mm-hmm.
And but what also I see as well is though people who are in the marketing department are so out of touch with marketing because so much has changed. They're still using the old methods and techniques of marketing, and so I think the people who have come in from whatever discipline, I don't think they've kind of lost much ground.
Yeah.
Because stuff has changed so much. You know, picking your book up, for instance, and, you know, rattling through that and then just, you know, consuming a lot of content on marketing, I think they could be pretty quickly up to speed without having the, you know, the big backstory of marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And educate their coworkers as well while they're at it.
Well, it's a good point because I think now, you know, every worker in the in the company now has got to be sales and marketing oriented.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's another good point, Ian. When I hear about companies who have banned their employees from engaging on any social media during the day, I say, do you realize what a group of advocates you have right there at your fingertips who could be talking about all the cool stuff you're working on? So, yeah, absolutely. Take off the reins and let them be your advocates.
I totally agree. I'm a big one for that. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, if you think of the extended network you could reach, you know, if you've got 20 people and they've all got 200 people in their network and so on and so on, it's just huge, isn't it? And it's going to waste if you don't encourage that.
Yeah.
But that's the culture. That we're talking culture now, though.
Yeah, exactly.
The culture here now in the UK, if you've got a red felt pool table and a pinball machine, you've done culture.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Box ticked.
Exactly.
Well, Rachel, I'm just looking at the clock there. We've had half an hour, so that's been really great. I'm glad you've talked about your book. Is there anything else that you want to leave us with? You know, maybe you've got a great podcast. You've done over 200 episodes now of your podcast?
Yeah, last week I think we got up to 212 episodes. So.
Well done. So where can we find you?
You can learn more about me at resonancecontent.com, and that's where you'll find my blog and also some other materials. I've got some ebooks for download, and also very excited, we've got a huge conference coming up here in the States in September called Content Marketing World, and I will be there serving as a moderator. So if you are in the neighborhood, if you plan on hitting Content Marketing World, let me know. I will be around.
Excellent. Whereabouts is it?
It's in Cleveland, Ohio.
Ah, cool. Do you know it is about 50% of our listeners are in the States. So if you're in Ohio, let me know if you meet Rachel. So I'd love to come over and see you, Rachel. So thanks for reaching out. It's been great. Well, excellent stuff. Really appreciate your time, and let's keep in touch.
Absolutely. Sounds wonderful, Ian.
Thanks to Rachel there. So are you guys covering the big three? Remember, social media, blogging, and email. If not, why not? As Rachel said, the time is now. Just get started. And if the budget allows, outsource it. So make sure you get it done or come and slap your legs, okay? I'm really interested to know, actually, if you do the big three, okay, drop me an email. This is your homework for this week. Email me at host@industryangel.com. Let me know which is the best out of those three for you. And let me know the industry you work in as well. Really interested in that. Remember to subscribe through iTunes and Stitcher. Review the show, of course. Get onto the Facebook page. As I mentioned at the top of the show, our speakers sometimes engage there and you could ask them a question. So until next time, I'm Ian Farah. This is the Industry Angel, and thanks for listening.